U3 testing. Okay, so for today's video session, we're going to take a look at a few clips from the North Bay game. Obviously a big win with lots of goals. So today's session, we're going to revisit a lot of concepts and see how we kind of can adjust and really start to implement little changes to see how we can be a little bit more efficient on the ice. Overall, a great game, and like I said, lots of fun goals. A great play. So our first clip here, we're going to take a look at a defensive zone face-off. And we've talked about this before and the importance of face-offs. So we've talked about, every time you come to that face-off circle, you have to know what your responsibilities are. The next thing is, you also have to know what's the plan if we win and what's the plan if we lose, regardless of what your position is. So we have a little bit of a mix-up here, and our center does a nice job winning that puck clean to the corner. And our D1 ends up jumping into this space, kind of thinking we were going to lose that puck, or lose that face-off, I should say. So here, we win that puck clean, and then all of a sudden, they're getting players to that puck first, and that means we have to defend. All right, the other thing I want us to take a look at is our weak side winger. Does she make the right call and sprinting to the boards in a play where, if grab that puck, that's likely where that puck would have been going. But we always have to make sure that we're reading and reacting. So in this case, we have to pump the brakes here and get back to the middle of the ice so that we're defending the house. So I'll let this play. So 93 does a nice job starting to apply pressure. And then we've got our D1, who's our second layer of support, which is going to be critical because the North Bay player does a nice kind of spin-off move, and she gets on the inside of our center. So here we would like our second layer of support to be a little bit closer, just so that they can engage and take away a little bit of time and space. The next thing that we need to be mindful of is that as this player kind of moves up into the zone, our strong side winger here has to be conscious of that, and that as she moves up, she needs to move up as well, because she wants to make sure that she's defending this space here, right, including this defenseman. Our weak side winger, again, as they move up, we're going to maybe hold middle for a little bit because we want to protect the middle of the ice and then read and react from there. We get a little bit puck focused in this situation here. We can see our eyes are all facing on this defenseman, and she is able to easily move that puck east to west, and then they're getting a clear shot on net. So their learning opportunity, the adjustment here is that we want to make sure for that weak side winger, we're holding middle, let our strong side winger pressure that D, and then if that puck gets moved across, now we can start to pressure. All right, in this situation, we're going to take. So number 13 does a great job picking that puck up as our second quick support. So right out of the gates, the adjustment that we need to look for, and what we talked about last week with the U15A group, is that we really want to make sure that we don't have possession, that our wingers are inside when possession goes from defending to a breakout situation. Then we can start to move to our breakout positions. So right now we can see that our winger isn't in the screen. So we'll have to make an adjustment. So 13, like I said, she's going to grab that puck, her eyes go up, and she's going to recognize that she has all this space to work. So she's going, she keeps her feet moving. Our winger, who was a little bit higher up in the zone, she's going to recognize that, hey, I'm not a passing option, so I need to move and be helpful. And that's exactly what she does. So she's going to start to sprint out of the zone, and this is going to force this defense. In this case, she goes with her, and that's going to create a little bit more space here for number 13 to skate with that puck. So I'll let up, keeping her feet moving, and then she gets it to 8, and now we've got a 2-on-1 entering the zone. So another breakout clip here. Our defenseman does a great job shoulder checking. Because she shoulder checks, that means she can recognize the numbers. She understands where the pressure is coming from. In this case, it's coming from the strong side of the ice. Here, we've got our strong side winger and our centers here, our D2, but we don't winger. All right, so this means that she's already on the boards, which the puck is, that's where it's going to end up going. But we want to make sure that even though we have full possession, we can't start on the boards. And when I see why is that when we're on the boards like this, it makes things really easy for this defenseman, right? They know exactly where you're gonna be, and they actually have the ability to use the boards to pressure you. So even though we know that it's going to be a rimmed puck, we want to make sure that we're starting dot line, right? And because the puck was on the other side initially, that means as a weak side winger, we want to be in the middle of the ice. So as that puck gets rimmed, we want to start moving closer, and then we're going to be sprinting to support. And then if we have, good speed, we can pick that puck up lower in the zone. And because we started in the middle, that means we can pick up the puck in motion. We're going to be facing up ice. And then one of the biggest ones is we're forcing that D to honor the middle of the ice by starting at the middle. But if we're on the boards, they know exactly where to go. So a key, change that we need to make for our wingers. And it means that if we put in the work up front by getting to the middle of the ice, it's going to make our breakouts a lot easier. So here we've got 44 that's going to retrieve that puck. Just like the last clip, she does a great job with the shoulder check. She recognizes numbers and pressure. All right, so great job by 44 here. She's going to end up moving that puck east-west behind the net. All right, before we talk about retrieve, this is a clip here that's really important for our forwards to recognize. We have to make sure that we're working hard to come back into the zone inside the dot line. So we see our face-off dot is here. We have to be inside those dot lines, and we have to be working hard to get back into the defensive zone. It's not fair to our defense, and it makes breaking out a lot harder, and we end up spending more time in our D zone. So wingers, centers, you have to get back into the defensive zone and help out your D. The other piece of this, like I said, that puck's going to go east-west. We really want to make sure that we're retrieving that puck as close as we can to that far side post, right? When we receive that puck a little bit earlier and inside those dot lines, you can see here that it's going to give us a little bit of buffer. So if that means we bobble the puck or we get pressured right away, we have a little bit of space to work with. But if we're receiving it there, we're going to be in trouble because the board's going to restrict, any type of movement. So very, very simple, but we have to get into a better habit of picking that puck up as close as we can to that post. So we do a nice job picking that puck up, and it happens, okay, we've picked up that puck and we're outside that dot line. Now we're going to see our forwards. All right, so we've got one winger, our center, and our other winger. This is an incredibly difficult passing position for our D. They may be able to receive the puck, but they're going to have pressure on them pretty quickly. So in this case, continue to skate that puck. Ultimately, like I said, we need to be lower in the zone. We need to be working harder to get there in the first place to help our D out. Into the zone, and here I think, if we don't have any passing options at this point in time, because we've got, one, two, and three North Bay players in front of us, this is a great opportunity just to chip the puck out of the zone nice and high. That way, we're releasing that puck out of the D zone. So here we're going to have number 66, as per usual, does a nice job with her shoulder check. And we're going to end up taking the back of the net in this clip. But as you can see, we've got number 44 in North Bay cheating on this forecheck. All right, so our eyes are up. We don't have to take the back of the net. All right, often for D, that's security blanket. We don't need to do that. This is a great opportunity to pick up that puck and immediately take ice up the middle. Right? We've got a winger that's relatively low in the zone, and we've also got a center. So if we're coming up the middle of the ice, we can dish it one side or we can dish it the other. So this clip is pretty similar to the last one, but it's going to be our non-retrieving D. It's going to be our net front D number 9 here. So she stays relatively engaged in the play, which is great, but her immediate instinct is to grab this puck here and head behind the net. Right? Again, a little bit of a security blanket, and I understand that if there's immediate pressure, that's a great play, 100%. But in this case, lots of space to work with here. So rather than closing our hips and facing the boards, we want to make sure that we can receive that puck and be facing up ice. So receive that puck up ice and immediately go north towards the weak side. And we can see in our screen, we've got one North Bay player, 2, and 3. So by taking ice immediately, we're going to have those 3-4 checkers beat right out of the gates. So not so long ago, we talked about entries and support from our F2 when we have pressure on entries. So this is win that drawback. And we have number 66 who's going to pick up that puck. Before we talk about the zone entries, I want us to take a look at how number 66 underhandles the puck. She doesn't, go back and forth, back and forth. She's going to touch that space from this side of her body, and she's going to over here and then skate onto it. So a very underrated skill, and she does a great job. And touches it, and then she has the ability to gain some ice. Here, she's going to experience some pressure, and then we've got also a defense on the blue. So pretty challenging for her to possess that puck. Luckily, number 8 does a great job. There's zero hesitation. She's going to recognize that pressure, and she's immediately sprinting to support. And that way, we have clean possession. Before the blue, we had to give it up. But when we know that it's an automatic like that, it makes for getting that puck back that much easier. So another clip here, very, very similar to the last one. You're going to see here, we've got a tight gap between our winger and their defense. And then we have some back pressure as well from this player. But we have zero hesitation from our middle player that's coming through the zone. She's skating onto that puck right away. So here we'll grab that puck, but we don't get clean possession. But because we have our second quick support and then our F1 gets over top, we're going to end up with this puck back on our stick. So here I'm going to let this one play out. I thought this was one of the best shifts of the game, and it's just a ton of continuous pressure. So even though it's not a perfect clip, this pressure is incredibly difficult to play against. So we're reloading over top, we're stopping and starting. We have a stick lift. Again, that back pressure, our defense are engaged. Even though it comes out of the zone, we'll get that puck back. And now all of a sudden, we've got a pretty serious, chance on net, but it gets deflected. So that type of pressure is so challenging to play against, and it's absolutely exhausting. This is a friendly reminder here that when we're in the neutral zone and we're working with our D partner, we have to make sure that we're pivoting into support. Here we can see that number 9, she does pivot and we start going forwards, but we need to stay low, really push ourselves to gain space and then pivot forward so we can be support for our D partner. So it ends up working out, there's nothing really bad that happens, but if we rewind here, we really want to make sure that we're getting underneath that puck so that it's a diagonal pass back to our D partner rather than forwards, which allows this North Bay. So this is a quick clip here. The reason why I wanted to show it is because we've talked about it earlier on in the season, and now it's so great to see it in. So we're going to keep an eye on this player here, right? In this frame here, she's pretty close to the top of the crease. When we get full possession by number 48 here, we're going to take notice that she's in this position and she's actually going to move away from the net to create space for herself. Nice quick shot. So this is awesome to see. It's a great scoring chance from the pocket. Our next step here is how can we get this shot to happen a little bit quicker? So whether that's a one-timer or we receive that puck and we eliminate that time in between. Overall, it's a great scoring opportunity. And our last clip here is super simple. I'm sure all of you have picked up on how important I think back checking and tracking is to the game. We're going to keep an eye on number 23 here. So a couple things to keep in mind. There's about 5-6 seconds left in the first period, and you're up 3-0 against North Bay already, right? So just keep in mind that's the situation. And this is the track that we have back. That forces that number 15 to dump the puck. All right, I think this is a great attitude to have. Doesn't matter what the score is. It doesn't matter how much time is on the clock. It's giving that 100% effort. So I love to see that. And I thought that was a great clip to end the session.